All right, everybody. Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Bold Statements, Not So Bold Predictions, where we've got receipts. I'm your host, Keith Cork, along with our very own street brawler here and co-host, Mr. Trey Hill. And we're coming at you live here for our second ever live show here. And Trey, I'm calling you street brawler because of your whole Jokic take, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But just hope you got that little reference there.
Oh,
yeah. But anyways, last time we did this live show, guys, we went 9-3. So you know what? We decided just to bring Mr. Stan Sun from Razzball back and Mr. Steven Bagell from the NBA podcast and the Bird Rights podcast back for another jam-packed episode. Welcome, guys. How you doing today? How you doing, Steven? You doing all right today, man?
Yeah, I'm doing well. As you guys know, Trey was actually my first ever guest on the Bird Rights podcast. And then I had Corbin Ford from Roundball Ramble for another Hoopball podcast on last week. Keith, I anticipate having you on in the near future. Son, you are more than welcome to come on to Bird Rights. Bird Rights is, Hoopball's newest podcast where I put a front office twist on the NBA and fantasy basketball. So I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be a part of Hoopball, and yeah.
Yeah, man, it's a unique, it's a really unique idea. I think is just talking about the front office aspect of the NBA because I don't think I'm not aware of any other podcast that does that. So you have a space that doesn't have anything that really is competing with you there. So that's really awesome, man. And Son, man, how are you doing? I heard you're moving, man. You exhausted? How's it going, man? You good?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Yeah, it's crazy. It's been a crazy few weeks. It's the whole process of just moving and just going through that whole thing. It's been pretty crazy, but definitely excited. Looking forward to the next chapter in my life and on my family's life. So that's good. But more importantly, I'm honored and humbled to be with you three fine gentlemen on this great podcast. I think I had a lot of fun last time, and hopefully we can just chill. I'm very curious to hear the Jokic take, so I'm writing in anticipation here.
You would be excited to be back though, son, because I'm pretty sure you had a flawless victory last go around.
That's right. Yeah, Mr. Sun here. Yeah.
What did they say? Broken clock is right twice a day. Blind squirrel finds a nut. I mean, honestly, I shouldn't have come on because it's only downhill from here. I think I've played fantasy and done enough of it to understand that it's very humbling and that's kind of probably an outlier. But I should have rode off into the sunset and kind of like Ryu, have my little knapsack and just go forth on my adventures. But I had a good time. So looking forward to chatting with you guys again.
I think the title for our intro music is actually "Take the Money and Run" on our podcast. So it's very very apt there. You got to you got to know when to cash out, know when to hold them, know when to fold them. But no, man, we're glad to have you back. Like I said, 93 last episode. So guys, hey, out there, if you've never seen or listened to BSBP, it's a show where we put our credibility on the line each and every week to bring our best guesses for NBA outcomes. So here's how it works. Each host starts the season with 100 creds, and we place wagers on game outcomes, player props, futures, and much, much more. We'll also be bringing on guests, just like Son and Steven here, giving them 100 creds, letting them play along. So for many of our bets, are going to be using real-life odds found at sites such as PointsBet, MyBookie, FanDuel, and more. Please, guys, follow us on Twitter at BSBP_NBA. If you like to view all of our open bets, we have them all there. Transparency is key because at the end of the season, we want to be able to look back, pull receipts for all these right calls we're going to have. And also, guys, at the start of or during each show, we actually have a BS we can use. If I can get my air horn up, and hopefully my sound is on. But anytime that someone thinks something is totally BS, there it is. We can use our phone here and call BS on somebody, and we'll come up with a little gentleman's bet on the spot. But guys, we're thankful for Hoopball for giving us this opportunity. You can find our pod and many more wonderful pods, just like Steven's pod Bird Rights, over at hoop-ball.com. That's hoop-ball.com, or anywhere you go to download podcasts. So iTunes, all that good stuff, Spotify, etc. But yeah. So did really well last episode. Actually, I'll go through and tell you guys what your credit ratings are for our show. So your credit rating, Son, is 115.6 on the show, which is far and away the best credit rating of anybody that's ever appeared on the show. Like you said, it could probably only go downhill from here, but we'll see how it goes. Steven, you're at 100.9. You're actually the only other person, I believe, to be over 100 that's appeared on the show. I'm personally at a 92.6. And Trey's at a 96.4, doing a little bit better than me, but we got to step it up, man. We got to start hitting some bets here. But speaking of bets, Trey, we had some pretty bad misses last time. Run through them real quick here. Don't want to keep Steven and Son waiting too long, but I had Knicks. We actually both had Knicks -2.5 over the Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks run a back-to-back. They're missing everybody. They have no Middleton. They're just decimated. And the Knicks just suck right now, man. They lost tonight too, I think. I was watching it. They're not playing anybody very good, and they lost.
They lost to the Hornets.
The Hornets, yeah. And the Hornets are okay. They're decent, but they were winning, I think, the whole first half, and then they just completely blew it. So that was lame. And then we've also got – I had Sacramento money line. There was a pick'em versus San Antonio Spurs. And
we were both on that one.
Yeah, we were both on that one as well. So we piggybacked on each other on both those calls, and we missed them. Just unfortunate. And then you had a couple other ones, Trey. Why don't you walk me through those real quick?
I had Cleveland +4, and they managed to only lose by 3. So I got by on that one, which was – I think that was the only other play I had. So I at least got one victory that day, even though the 2 we went with together didn't there was no fruit to that labor.
Yeah, unfortunate. But it's all good, man. We're going to turn it around today. But whichever side you fall on, guys, with our bets, where you place your bets is just as important, if not more important, than what bets you're putting down. That's why you need to go with the best, the most trustworthy, and the sportsbook with the best odds. You need to go with MyBookie. And if you sign up and enter the promo code HOOPBALL, that's HOOPBALL. Each first deposit matched halfway up to your first $1,000. So put in $1,000, guys, get $500. Get through these ad reads real quick and get them out of the way so we can talk some hoops, guys. Hey, so Steven Bagell and Trey, walk me through your episode here. I haven't had a chance to listen to the whole thing, but I did get to see some of the rankings you guys have for the front offices, for the coaching, I should say. So, tell me what's in that episode. What's it called? How to go. Tell me your favorite moments. What's going on there?
Steven, I'll let you lead with this. Because I had my big call was to have the Timberwolves head coach Finch in my top 10 because I thought I love what he does in Minnesota, and I'm not necessarily backing away from that. I think the process is good, but other than that, my showing on that show is about as good as my credit rating on this show.
Hey, that's okay. We're happy to have you anyway. I think it went well. I think Trey was a good guest to have on because of the fact that, him and I, it's no fun when you have a guest on when you're just going to agree on everything. So I for example, I had Rick Carlisle number 9, I want to say off the top of my head. He had Rick Carlisle 27. As a Pistons fan, I had Doc Rivers. I still had Doc Rivers in the middle of the pack. I think I had him 13 or 14. He had Doc Rivers down at 26. So I having a guest who will question me and, go opposite of my takes and, give hot takes of their own. So I like that. And I think it was a good prelude into my front office episode I did with Corbin the following week where, okay, this is where teams align coaching wise. Now let's see where they align front office wise. So
Trey, you had Spoelstra number 1 in your overall rankings here. I like it, man. I do. I really respect Spo. I like him a lot. Nick Nurse. Let me walk you through the Sun. Here's my my co-host top 5 from that episode. He had Spoelstra, Nick Nurse, Monty Williams, Greg Popovich, and Thibs. Yeah, Thibs. What do you think about that, Son? Anyone he's missing there?
Of course. Frank Vogel, man. Come on.
I knew you were going to get some Frank Vogel love.
He's in my top 10.
I'm a Laker.
He's in the top 10. Yeah, he's in the top 10, though. He's in the top 10. But I think
I like the list. That's a good list. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think it's a solid list. I love, obviously I love Nick Nurse and Spo. Those are probably 2 of my favorite coaches. Popovich, obviously, I don't know. I think I'm a little surprised. I mean, was Popovich at the top of your list there, Steven, or no?
Popovich, I think I had 6 or 7. I had Steve Kerr in my top 5, and I also had Frank Vogel, I think 6 or 7. Him and Popovich somewhere in that same spot. Popovich, I just feel like he hasn't really adapted to this current NBA that well. So I didn't, obviously I think he's the best coach of all time. I won't dispute that. But current NBA right now, he hasn't been that adaptable. So as a result, I don't want to give a total lifetime achievement award. So yes, I still had him at the top. I just didn't have him top 5 currently.
You think let me ask you a question. In terms of what he did in the Olympics, does that have a factor or did that kind of move the pendulum at all for you?
No, because Olympic basketball is like, they
Different
play the
game.
European style rules.
Right.
It's there's not as much 3-point shooting.
Okay.
It's different. And he's actively come out and said, I don't love like how the NBA has evolved into all 3-pointers, and he hasn't adapted to that. I know he hasn't really had the personnel to adapt to that. They have Vin Forbes, and he's really the only knockdown shooter they have. But yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Fair enough. And Pop's not the top for you, Trey. What are your thoughts there, man?
I mean, Lifetime Achievement Award, he would have been one. But right now, I think Spo just if you have to pick one guy to guide your team in a playoff series, I think Spo and Nurse are kind of the top two, and then from there, there's a slight drop off. So for me, the real cream of the crop is Spo and Nurse.
Where do we have my Coach of the Year award winner bet here, Mr. Billy Donovan? You had him 13th. I like that. It's decent. What about you, Steven? Where'd you have him?
I think when Trey and me did this one, I think I had him 14 and he had him 13, if I'm remembering correctly.
Okay.
So we were both like in sync on that one.
I think he's got a good shot at I mean, the Bulls are I think that it was easy for Trey and I have been saying it since we started the show, is that the Bulls are going to be better than the national media is giving them credit for, that they're saying. I think they are. I think it's going to be a rough patch right here. They've got 5 games. We'll talk about it in a minute. 5 games in a row without Nikola Vucevic, but we'll get to that in a minute, actually.
Not only were we high on the Bulls, we were specifically high on their defense.
Yes,
and
yeah.
While I do think Billy Donovan he's a good candidate for Coach of the Year, I think if anyone in the Bulls non-players is winning an award, it's going to be AK and Executive of the Year after he brought in Lonzo, brought in Caruso, and brought in DeRozan.
That's a fair point, and it could go that way. I think when Thibodeau won Coach of the Year, didn't his face? Gar Forman won also the Executive of the Year, so possible they both win it.
They don't have high standards for that award, apparently.
Yeah, obviously, if they keep up, obviously their hot start. I mean, like I said, it's going to be a rough patch. So that brings us to our next point, absolutely perfectly, because let's talk about Nikola Vucevic. He's out for the next 5 games at least. Caught COVID-19 from pretty sure from Joel Embiid. I mean, that's
I was just going to chime in and say that.
Yeah, that's the guy he was guarding, and he's the one that went out with COVID-19. So, unfortunately, he's going to be out for the next 5 games. It's actually a terrible time because it is a 5-game road trip for the Bulls. They have 5 games over the next 2 games, all on the road, all against playoff teams. Oh, this is going to be rough, Trey. Who's going to step up here? Who's going to fill in for that Vucevic role right there?
I think Bradley is going to be the guy who steps in. They recalled Marko Simonovic from the G League. I think he's a dark horse to get some minutes just because of the size. Elise Johnson, he played a lot early on in the season, and he kind of found his way to the bench. I think he'll probably end up being the first backup, but if he's not effective, I think they'll turn quickly to see what they've got in the rookie.
I think it's definitely Tony Bradley's the first man up. I do like that they recalled Marko Simonovic. I'm curious to see, because the Bulls game is starting here in about 15-20 minutes. Curious to see what his role is going to be, if he's even going to crack the rotation. I think he's definitely got to get his feet wet first. He's a rookie still, so see how that goes. But I like him as a Vucevic stand-in, because he has that similar skill set. He can he's probably better at blocking shots than Vuce is, but he also can step out and hit a 3. He's got some excellent interior passing, so I kind of like him a little bit better to fill that role than Tony Bradley, to be honest. I think Tony Bradley's been a fantastic backup, and I could see them splitting the minutes and kind of platooning it. Any thoughts there, Son? You got any thoughts on the Bulls and how they're going to fill that void?
Yeah, well, before I go into that, I think you guys should change the name of this podcast to the Hoop Bulls podcast. You guys are just a bunch of homers.
That's all we want. I wasn't going to talk about him, but then Vuce went out, so it's a big headline. So there you go.
Yeah, no doubt.
Any excuse for Keith to bring them up, and I'm always happy to chime in.
Any excuse. But anyways, any thoughts about that?
Yeah, no, I saw that Bradley is going to be starting today. So he'll probably be the guy. I just don't think he's going to get the majority of the minutes. I do like, is it Alize? I always thought it was Alize. Yeah, okay. So I think he gets most of the minutes, but then I saw earlier today that Donovan said that he may go small with Javonte Green and DJJ at the small ball center. So I think it's kind of a fluid situation, maybe kind of like a hot hand or matchup dependent as well. So time will tell exactly what they're going to do. But as of right now, I think everything is in the mix.
And I know we were messaging a little bit about that earlier, Son, and I love Eliza. I love he's got a high motor. I've loved him. He was in preseason. He had a great preseason. He's shown a lot. I mean, in spurts. But to me, it feels like the Bulls just, for whatever reason, they don't trust him to give him a full role in the rotation. I don't know why. I haven't seen any quotes as that would give me any reason to say that, but that's just my feeling right now. But we'll see. I mean, he could step in. Steven, any thoughts about who's going to fill in that role for Vucevic? How it's going to affect the Bullies?
I was going to say I think they're going to go small with probably a lot of Derrick Jones Jr. playing the 5. Mm-hmm. But Tony Bradley is pretty intriguing. Obviously, Hoopball is a fantasy basketball platform, so I'm no fantasy basketball expert, but he's somebody I would be looking at to pick up because
I snapped him up
he was
in a few weeks.
He was on the Sixers last year, and we all know Joel Embiid misses games. So before we traded him at the deadline in the George Hill trade, he filled in somewhat admirably a lot of games. And then the rookie, Marko Simonovic, he's actually he's a poor man's Vucevic. Mm-hmm. He could pass a little bit for a big man. He could shoot a little bit for a big man. He's big enough to play down in the post. So I'm intrigued to see, what that 1-2 duo of Bradley and Simonovic bring when they're not playing small.
And I mean, you can go out there. You can say, "Oh, well, Vucevic hasn't been playing well. He's been a big reason they haven't looked, awesome on the offensive end because he is only shooting 39.5% from the field goals percentage this year." But obviously, we all know that's he's getting bunnies. He's getting easy shots. That was probably likely to change. The last game, he actually had a really good game. And you can't really discount the fact that this guy's 10th in screen assists in the league, 11th in screen assist points in the league. He just knows the game. He does the right thing. He's skilled. I had a friend actually try to tell me that he was comparing him to Boozer. And I said, no, I think he's got a little bit more skill than Boozer, Carlos Boozer. And I love Boozer. Don't get me wrong. Boozer had his place and he had some skill for sure. But I take Nikola Vucevic pretty much 10 out of 10 times in that scenario. I don't know about you guys, but I think he was going to turn that around. But hey, we also had another injury that come out here. Obviously, Kelly Olynyk out for 6 weeks minimum. I don't think any of us are really Detroit Pistons guys, but Trey, I'll let you start us off, man. How does this affect the Pistons? Who's going to step in and play? Is Beef Stew going to actually break out now? Finally, I know this is for fantasy reasons. A lot of people are drafting him early. What do you think, man?
Detroit is just getting smacked tonight. I don't know how much that has to do with Olynyk, but every time I've watched Detroit play, and I didn't go look up his plus minus numbers or anything. But Olynyk and his ability to stretch the floor, his ability to be just kind of like a general nuisance. And he seems to be much more valuable to the Pistons than he should be. And I think with Olynyk out, I think the Pistons are going to they're going to just nosedive. And that to me just kind of shows the poor roster construction they have at the moment at the center position. I love Beef Stew. But if your backup center is this important to your success as a team, then that's an issue.
Yeah. Any thoughts here, Son, on the Pistons?
Yeah, I was thinking Trey Lyles, and then, I kind of wanted to puke after I thought about it. But, I mean, what Trey was saying, the Olynyk's ability to stretch the floor, I mean, really the only one that can replicate that is Lyles. He's 34% shooter from downtown. So
you don't believe in Luke Garza?
No.
Not quite.
Yeah. So I don't know. It'll be interesting because I don't know. In the past, Lyles has had spurts where he's been able to be productive, but at the same time, he's had some very poor stretches too. So, but yeah, that was the first guy that I thought of.
Yeah, and Steven, what do you think, man?
I was gonna say Luka Garza. I mean, they're obviously in asset collection mode, and I don't think he's going to be much of an NBA player. He was obviously, one National Player of the Year in college, but it's a big name relative to who they have. And, it's another asset for them to have. So why not try to showcase him if they're smart? I mean, Troy Weaver comes from that OKC tree. Obviously that ties into my front office episode I had last week where I ran the front offices, but yeah, so Troy Weaver was smart. Okay, let's try to showcase Garza as much as we can. Flip him for a second-round pick, whatever it may be. I know you just use a second-round pick on him, but just something like that where they're interested in Marvin Bagley Jr. Maybe they make a trade for him in the near future within the next 6 weeks because his time, that's run out in Sacramento. So
He refused to go in a game the other day, didn't he?
Yeah. That's actually a news item I didn't put down, but that is interesting because it's actually dating back even to last season. Because I want to say it was Bagley's father that tweeted out or
tweeted that he requested a trade.
Yeah, he wanted him out. He wanted his son out of Sacramento. They began this season by telling Marvin Bagley he's out of the rotation, so that wasn't good. And now they're asking him to step in, obviously, and play, and he's refusing to play. So, I guess let's cover that. I mean, besides that, I mean, what do we think that Marvin Bagley is going to get traded here? I mean, that seems like the most likely outcome, right?
They have to get something for him. I mean, he's a free agent this year. You can't let him walk and get nothing. I mean, you could have had Luka Doncic. Like, I know, like, everyone says that, so I'm not trying to, like, sound like a broken record here, but, like, that asset is already, like, depreciated. You got to find a way to get something. Even if it's Detroit, salary match. Off the top of my head, I don't know who that – like, Kelly Olynyk I know would fit in within that contract structure about what Bagley makes. But somebody like that with, like, maybe 2 second-round picks – something along those lines of a parameter where a team like the Thunder or the Rockets or the Pistons, another team in assets building mode, similar to what the Pistons did last year where they traded Derrick Rose to take on Dennis Smith Jr. just to say, hey, let's see what we got. But yeah.
I was actually looking. I was actually just looking because Chimezie Metu actually started tonight, which is kind of interesting, and Mohawkos came off the bench. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I cut somebody off. Go ahead.
Do you have anything on Bagley?
For me, I think
I went first last time, so I was trying to go last this time.
Tell me your thoughts, either of you. It doesn't matter.
Go for it, Trey.
He brought up the Luka Doncic point, and to me, I'm worried the Kings are going to see this and they're going to think, we picked this guy over Luka. We can't trade him for 2 second-round picks. I hope they don't let the fact that Luka was drafted after him get in the way of getting something for this asset, because he is still an asset in today's NBA, especially with how Cleveland's playing with the 3 bigs. How a lot of teams are getting back to size with shooting, and Bagley is somebody who there's a reason he was picked so high. He's got some talent. And Sacramento has been a place that a lot of players have went to die. So if I were a GM, I would be looking to buy low on him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't. I agree, man. I would love to. I don't know if I'd love on the Bulls. I don't know. Maybe.
Stop talking about the Bulls, man. The sun's just gonna log off.
We need big
bodies. We need big bodies. Okay, thoughts, son. What do you got?
Man, I saw Bagley before he came to the league in the Drew League, and like he was destroying grown men, and I was just like, oh my God, like this, like this guy can, he may have it, right? He may be able to do it. And then, I guess like he just didn't develop his offensive repertoire enough, too reliant on that little left-hand hook. And, he just really, I don't know what it is, but I mean, honestly, like when I saw him during that summer, like he had the mentality, like the passion, like the athleticism. And I was like, shoot, man. But, just now watching him now, he's just like out of it, and he just hasn't developed to that degree. In terms of like, I agree with you guys, like the Kings should get something for him or should look to get something for him. But I think, they're the Kings for a reason, right? And I think, human emotion, I think a lot of people fall into this, the sunk cost fallacy, right? Like they get so focused on like how much they invested or what the draft capital was. And then they become so emotionally attached to that it affects their decisions going forward. Like even like fantasy basketball, right? Like, people spend like a first or second round on a player, and then after the draft happens, they still attach the value to that. But honestly, like once the season starts, that stuff doesn't matter, right? Value is irrespective of where you drafted. But so many people focus on that, and I do agree that the Kings are probably going to get caught up into that. They just need to get what they can for him. Get something for him, but don't focus on who you missed out on him or what the cost was to acquire him. Just his value is what it is right now, and so just try to get something to match that.
Yeah, not looking so great for that former second overall pick, but that's just kind of crazy. But hey, Mr. Steven Bagell, I have something that's a little bit more along your lines here. Mr. Ben Simmons is claiming these days that being fined, well, actually, I should say Rich Paul, his agent, is claiming that being fined is bad for his mental health. So let me read this quote real quick for you guys. And obviously, this is a sticky situation. I don't want to attack the guy's mental health at all. I think we should be respectful of that. Just want to preface this by saying that. But here's the quote. I truly believe the fines, the targeting, the negative publicity shine on the issue. That's very unnecessary and has furthered the mental health issues for Ben, Clutch Sports CEO Rich Paul said. Either you help Ben or come out and say he's lying. Which one is it? And that's his interview with The Athletic. So a lot of people are taking that as basically they're kind of boiling it down to, being fined is hurting Ben's mental health. So, Steven, give me some thoughts. And again, like I said, obviously I don't have any worries, but let's just try to be respectful of his mental health. But what are your thoughts there? Is it something that we think that this is, I don't want to say making it up, but I mean, he could be, but just give me your thoughts. Go ahead.
My thoughts and reports coming out of Philly are basically that, okay, yes, we all sympathize with Ben. Hopefully, playing in front of Philly fans. Trust me, I have season tickets. I know what it's like to be a Philly fan.
It's tough there.
But so I get it now, wanting to play in front of the fans. And Ben, his attitude has always seemed to be that he's like a perfectionist in the aspect of he does want to shoot threes because he knows he could miss. That's why he only takes close shots. He wants to appear to be the perfect player. And every player is flawed. So I just feel like, playing in front of the Philly fans and, him showing, okay, yes, he's a flawed player and he has deficiencies, are making it difficult for him to realize, okay, I'm not, like, he's always been the best. He was the number one pick, number one recruit in high school, was always the best. Now he's starting to realize, okay, I am a flawed guy. Like, I'm not perfect. I gotta expand my game in order to be better. And that could mess with you, realizing, look, you're the best at your job in everything you do. Now all of a sudden, you're not the best anymore. It took a few years for him to, I guess, show those deficiencies really when he was exposed in the Hawks series. But yeah, I could definitely see why that would take a toll on him.
Yeah, it's been a struggle for him. Go ahead, Trey. Sorry.
I think that's a good point about him being a perfectionist because I'm looking at his stats right now. His rookie year, he shot at least one long two a game, and he was only shooting 35% at those, but they were at least forcing defenses to guard him out by like the free throw line and further out. The very next year, it went down. It just dropped completely. He just stopped taking them. And ever since Ben got drafted, he got drafted into a team that was expected to compete. And what have we all said ever since all he needs is that 3-point shot. All he needs is that we've been constantly harping on this, and it's gotta be trying to be Ben Simmons and to be an all NBA level player and to just constantly get nitpicked and picked apart. And so we've thought he had a mental block. We've been talking about his mental issues. When he passed in the Hawks game, and everybody blew up about that. Everyone was like, see, it's mental. It's in his head. And so I think it's really hard for us to have said this for so many years. And then for him to come out and be like, yeah, it is in my head. I have a real issue with this. It's really hard for me to look at that and be like, well, I don't know about that. Like, I think it's very clear that he has an issue, especially in Philly.
Yeah.
And even the Rich Paul quote, the way I read it, it sounds like Ben came back to the team, even though he doesn't want to be there and he's struggling with that mentally. So he comes back to the team and he's trying to do this stuff. And then Philly just keeps on poking and prodding and insisting, well, you can't talk to the Players Association doctors, because it's not like Ben Simmons was talking to his own shrinks. He was talking to the shrinks from the Players Union. So Philly just kept poking and prodding, and the fines, all this stuff. If I'm Ben, I'm probably feeling the same way. I came back, I'm having a rough time mentally. I need to get this shit together, and you just kind of keep pestering me. It's like in school when you'd have that kid just kind of poking you, and you'd be like, just leave me alone. Let me get this done. And I think Philly, I just think they've handled Ben Simmons wrong from the get-go.
Yeah. Son, any additional thoughts on this, man?
It's a tough one, right? Because it could be like a third rail type of issue, but I do think the mental aspects of Ben Simmons' game, or the things that affect him, are for real. I truly believe that, and I do empathize to a certain degree. At the same time, I do think that his camp is kind of taking advantage of the situation as well, knowing that that's a way to kind of, because at the end of the day, like, media and everything, I mean, it's public relations, right? It's kind of advertising, right, to some degree, and there's a lot of manipulation, right? So I'm not saying that to kind of denigrate or to discredit anything from Ben Simmons like that. I do think that's for real, but at the same time, I do think his camp is very savvy, where they're able to kind of use that situation to their advantage, I guess.
Well, yeah, the optics aren't great, man, because obviously the NBA Players Association, if it's a mental issue, it's a situation where you couldn't find him. So there is a something there where you could see it and say, hey, this is maybe just him trying to play the system to keep his money and also not play for the Philadelphia 76ers. So I can get where people are coming from with that. Yeah, obviously, I'm in the camp, and I think we all firmly are, that you believe this guy, you take him for his word until, it's proven otherwise, without a doubt. And we don't want to mess with that. So I think, we're all being respectful of that. But yeah, as somebody who used to play basketball, I wouldn't say at a high level. It was in high school, so it wasn't, it's not very high. But I did have performance anxiety when I played. So I get his issues, and I get that, and I think that there really is something there. Watching him in that series was a little bit heartbreaking for me, because I saw a lot of myself in there, and I hate to say that. I'm not comparing myself to an NBA player, but at the same time, you can empathize with somebody, and it did seem like there was some performance anxiety there, and that's that's really unfortunate. The one thing that I think he would do, I wish he would do, is I wish he would and this is hard to prod somebody to that point, but I wish he would try to give it a go, try to play, and show everybody hey, I'm doing my best here, because right now we've seen the videos of him in practice with the phone in his pocket and going half speed through, and so it's not it's just the optics aren't great here. So I wish he would just kind of make a good faith effort, basically, to try to get out there, because they are paying him a lot of money, and I get from an organizational standpoint why they're doing what they're doing. So it's it's just tricky, and it's tough to parse.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
I agree. Like, it would be great if he did that, but I think one of the interesting and great things about life in general, right, is everybody has a different perspective. Everyone has a different personality, right? Some people, their automatic response is to fight or to flight, right? So some guys use adversity to be use it as a chip on their shoulder, and to kind of use that to motivate it, and right, to go out into the world, right? Other guys, when adversity hits, right, they kind of turtle up and they go the other way. So I agree, it would be cool if he did that, but at the same time, because I know a lot of my personality issues and things that have happened to me in the past, when I look back on it, I was like, the way I reacted to that, right, and it was kind of in lockstep with my personality, right? So sometimes I fought, sometimes I fight, but depending on a person's personality, they're gonna react in a different way, right? So yeah, so it is tough, right, to have the kind of cookie cutter responses to everybody, because everybody's different.
Steven probably would answer this. I feel like Ben, especially with as private as he is and as close-knit as a circle is, he seems to be much more like the flight type, and having Joel Embiid there being the facing of the franchise and he's definitely not the flight type. He's going all in, and I think having those two polar opposites in terms of personalities, it kind of gives, you see what Embiid's doing, and you're like, why can't Simmons just be like Embiid?
Yeah. And
good.
I was going to say, just let me throw in one more quick thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then, again, if he's having mental health issues, which, again, believe him until he proves otherwise, I completely empathize and sympathize with him. But the Sixers getting off to an 8-2 start without him. I know they lost 3 in a row since he got COVID. I'm sure that's not helping his mental health, because he's realizing, look, I'm supposed to be a great all-NBA type player, and I'm out. My team's 8-2 without me.
Yeah.
And they
look good.
That's 8-2, and that was 4 games without Tobias Harris, 4 games without Shake Milton. Korkmaz missed 2 games. Matisse Thybulle missed a game, and Matisse is in COVID now. So they're winning without Ben and without other top guys. So I'm sure that's not helping with everything going on either.
Yeah, I'm a big George Niang fan, and love Korkmaz. I love Milton. There's a lot of good pieces on that team, man. So they've looked really good.
Yeah.
Even without Ben. He's looked incredible. I'm glad I scooped him up in at least one fantasy league, but he really looks like the real deal, man. So you guys struck some gold there. So, but speaking of how different people react to different things differently, Mr. Trey and I had a little discussion. What was it, Thursday or something? It was a couple days ago about that Jokic Morris exchange.
You're just not a guy who's ever had to break somebody's ribs in a
no. We're talking about we're talking about fight or flight. I guess we're probably opposites here because
that's the last physical interaction physical altercation I've been in. I took a
You broke someone's ribs?
Yeah. He hit a girl, man. So I had a club and I went over and I broke his ribs and then I just went home. But
fair enough.
Again, like I said, like some people are raised in environments that whenever you do, like if you test them, they just snap.
So I was saying, and actually, let me get you guys' thoughts before I go into what our conversation was. Son, we'll start with you, man. What did you think about that altercation there? Obviously Jokic got the 1-game suspension, Morris got the fine, so it's all pretty much squashed. It's all pretty much done. But how'd you feel in the time when it happened?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was bullshitting on Morris, to do it what he did, and I'm actually with Trey, I mean, there's certain things that it requires a certain response. But at the same time, you're talking to a guy where, I was more peace, but I've gotten into fights because someone stepped on my shoes, so so I
mean, smashed your Pumas? Oh no!
Yeah, come on, the shoes are all nice and new, and then they start scuffing them, sometimes those are fighting words or fighting actions, right? But there's certain granted, Jokic obviously should have held back because you're gonna get into trouble and things like that. But if this wasn't in the NBA, if that was on the playground or whatnot, what Morris did, you're fighting every single time. That's that's scrapping, right? So I get it, but in that professional type of setting, in that setting, he needs to chill, right? He needs to, but like I said, you're at the park.
We empathize with Jokic. We don't empathize with.
All right, shut up, Trey. Okay, Steven, give me some thoughts here. We'll talk.
Okay, I have two thoughts. My first thought is that Jokic literally stares at Markieff Morris after he throws his shoulder or whatever at him, waits for Morris to turn his back to then shove him. It's one thing to shove somebody while they're looking at you and they could prepare for it.
Oh, I gotta go watch this video because I didn't see.
I didn't see. Yeah, I didn't notice that pause.
I saw that as Jokic.
Hold up. Go ahead. Keep going. Keep going, Steve. Don't let these guys cut you off. Keep going.
He has his back turned to Jokic when Jokic shoves him down. Yeah. My second thought is Jokic is lucky he is who he is and he has a good reputation. Because I know if Joel Embiid did the same thing, everyone will be calling for him to be suspended for the season.
Joel Embiid just tried to punch Lonzo in the face.
Yeah, that's true.
For real, man. Get off.
I think it's a bit of exaggeration, but I do agree with the sympathy with the statement. Well, the general sentiment there. So this was basically, and this is great because we've got kind of 2v2 here. I mean, I think we're all in agreement that it was just bullshit on both sides. I didn't think what Morris did was great at all. It was awful. It was a terrible play. It was not a basketball play. You shouldn't be doing it. But the thing I took umbrage with was like you said, Steven. I took umbrage with the fact that he shoved him in the back when he was basically defenseless. On the other side of that, as I said, Morris was stupid as hell for doing it and then immediately pretty much turning his back. If you do something like that, you watch, Bill Embiid or something, they never turn their back. They're ready to fight as soon as they do a hard foul. So it was stupid as hell for him to do that. But what I took umbrage with was because I've been speared like that before. Where I'm not looking and it's just, you snap your head back and your neck, you have some whiplash and it's just it's not a fun thing and it can really seriously hurt somebody. So that's why I took umbrage with. I think they're both in the wrong. I think the way it played out was fine. Jokic got the 1-game suspension. Morris got the fine. I think it was totally okay. But basically Trey, give me your thoughts. Go ahead and tell me your side of that.
Oh, well, I just went and rewatched it. Jokic definitely does not wait on Morris. As soon as he lands, he plants his foot and takes off. Morris is a coward. Morris is a coward who knew what he did was wrong. He knew he took a cheap shot, and he's a cheap shot artist. We've been watching this for the last 5-10 years because there's never fights anymore. You take your cheap shot, and then if you immediately turn your back to the guy, you're assuming, like Steven said, well, his back's to him. He's not going to do anything to me. My back's turned. So to me, Morris just thought he was going to be clever, thought he was going to be cute, and Jokic popped him in the mouth.
And Morris has a reputation to, both Morris brothers.
Yeah, Jokic does too. So. Like Jokic has had some dirty stuff too. Jokic isn't the cleanest guy either, but to me, especially that, Jokic has had issues before. Why are you going to test him like that in the middle of a game that's already at the end of a game that's already over?
Well, all I was saying was I wish to me, and I know we said if it was old school basketball, it would have been a fight. No question about it. They just would have been on the ground, probably punching each other to death. That doesn't happen anymore. What I wish would have happened in the modern NBA is that they would have, basically inbounded the ball. The next play, someone just goes and just gives them a retaliation blow. It gives them a hard foul themselves. I think that sends the same message. I think it's a little bit safer than just hitting the guy in the back. I think it was a reaction by Jokic, so I get why it happened, and I don't think he's a bad guy or anything like that. But I just didn't like that play. So I guess there's some nuance there, but at the same time, like I said, it's pretty much over. Here's my next question for you guys. They meet again on November 29th, the Nuggets and the Heat do. Do you guys think anything happens between the Jokic brothers and the Morris brothers? Trey, are they coming out with the Serbians coming out there with some chains or some bats or something? Or what do you think, man?
No, they'll be there and nothing will happen. I think they're at most games unless they have I know the older brother does MMA fighting and stuff, but they're at the games. Nothing's going to happen. Just like how when they posed for that picture in the tunnel.
Yeah,
and they at first it was the security guards had to hold them back, and then it came out later that guy standing there worked for the Heat, and it was just a big photo op. Nothing's going to happen the 29th. But you know what will actually happen? We're all going to tune in. Ratings are going to be up. I've got that circled. Don't you guys? Aren't you guys excited for that next matchup?
I love watching Heat basketball, so yeah, I'll go watch it, man. Yeah, absolutely. Any thoughts there, Son? Do you think there's going to be a brawl of some sort?
No, definitely not. Pre-game, they're gonna give each other a pound. Smile. It's all good. It's all good. Probably. That's it. That's it.
Steven, you gonna take the opposite side there? Are you in line with us here?
I keep thinking of when Joel Embiid and Karl Anthony Towns went at it, and everyone. I was at that game, and I remember when we went back to Minnesota. Everyone was like, "Oh my god! We're gonna have round 2. We're gonna have this. We're gonna have that." Embiid and Karl Anthony Towns are gonna get in round 2. Nothing happens. So no Jokic, Markieff Morris. Nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah, pretty much a disappointment. Don't be expecting a fight. I don't think that's gonna happen. But I think it'll be a good basketball game, though, man. I do like watching the Heat are scrappy. I was watching that game last night. I like watching them play. But speaking of the Heat and the future and moving on, we do have a slate of games. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games on tomorrow's slate. So we're just going to run through each one, just kind of give you some thoughts on each one here. We do have Miami, the Heat at Utah Jazz at 5 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. Mr. Trey, who do you like in that game? What do you think is a good storyline? What do you got in that game?
I like the Jazz. I've been a big Jazz guy for a while. I think the Heat I think they're good, but I think the Jazz just have this regular season machine and Conley and Mitchell and Gobert, and they just have such a good system. I like the Jazz in that one.
Son, who you liking in that game?
Yeah, I like the Jazz too. They're 4-1 at home. Granted, sample size is small. Miami 3-4 on the road. Both teams top 10 in defensive efficiency. They're both bottom in offensive pace. Miami's 30th, Utah's 18th. And I just think Utah has, obviously they're better at home, but their offensive efficiency is a little better than Miami's.
What do you like, Steven?
Do we know Jimmy Butler's playing? I saw that he's questionable, I believe. So if he's out, I'm going to go obviously Utah. There's no suspensions from the fight we talked about the Jokic Markieff Morris fight. We didn't even mention Rudy Gobert and Miles Turner last night.
Well, they just had a hug fest. They just had a hug fest.
They hugged it out. It's okay.
No, a hug fest. 4 guys got ejected. I think that's the most ridiculous. The 4 guys got ejected for what? But
I think it's an overreaction to the Jokic Morris thing.
Yeah, I guess. But my thing is, nobody was suspended from the Jazz. I provided, even at full health, I'm probably going to go Utah because, as you guys said, Utah's an offensive or a regular season juggernaut. I like Miami more long-term with a better chance to get to the finals. But, yeah, for this game, I'll go Utah.
I was trying to find the tweet while you were talking. I couldn't find it, but Utah has yet to really shoot the ball like really well from 3-point land, and they do that. Like that's mainly what
that was the thing last year.
Yeah, so I'm looking for them to really turn it on here in the next stretch of games. So yeah, even though I love the Heat, I got to go Utah Jazz here as well. One thing I did notice from watching the Heat game last night, the Heat are going to go how Kyle Lowry goes. Lowry is a big part of what they do. When he was struggling in that first half, it was kind of difficult to watch there on offense, and he's just really not somebody that does a whole lot outside of scoring and shooting, and he does obviously get to the rim at times, but he's just so small that if his shot's not falling, he's just kind of a net negative in my opinion. So I think how he goes does really affect how well they go in general. Jimmy Butler is questionable. Looks like I did pull that up, Steven. So yeah, if he plays or doesn't play, that's going to really affect how I see this game. There's no spread yet, and that's probably why we don't have a spread yet for that game. So I think it's going to be a good one, though. I'll be excited. It's an early game, so look to catch that one. So next game we got on the docket here is the 76ers versus they're at the Indiana Pacers at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Steven, I'll let you start, man, since you're a Sixers fan. What do you think about this game?
As I said, Sixers started 8-2, and then once Embiid was put in health and safety protocols, Tobias Harris just came back. Yesterday was his first game back. So we were without both of them, and obviously we know Simmons isn't playing. So I like the Sixers this one. I mean, Indiana, Brogdon's been beat up. LeVert, I believe, is questionable. He's been beat up. Indiana, they have so many injury problems. They can't seem to – TJ Warren's still out. They can't seem, to put it all together yet. So Sixers – they know, okay, look, we lost 3 in a row. We got to get one. Tobias Harris is back. Obviously, Embiid being out hurts, but when I looked, the spread wasn't out yet. So, depending what the spread is, I may go Indiana, but I like the Sixers though.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just gonna go ahead and jump in here. Yeah, I agree there, man. I think the Sixers are gonna take care of business here. They've dropped a few. And they're actually a team that's also shooting a lot of threes now without Joel Embiid in the lineup. They're kind of increasing the pace, getting up and down the floor, taking those long ball shots. So they've had a couple of down games, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have the game logs up, but I think they shot not that well from 3-point land the last couple ones. So I like for them to bounce back here. I do lean them. I don't think we don't have a spread for that one yet. Yeah, like you said, LeVert is questionable. Embiid's out, obviously, and like you said, Ben Simmons and Matisse Thybulle are out. So, but still, Tobias Harris, I think, and everyone else that's been playing out of the team, they've just been performing way above where they should be, I think, and it's going to be a really good game. I think, Pacers are kind of a disappointment this year in their early going. Trey, what do you think, man? What do you got in this game?
Well, in a matchup with two great coaches,
two of the best.
No, I like the 76ers. I'm not big on what Indiana's put together. I think it's just kind of a wait it out and blow it up at the end of the year. And like Steven said, the 76ers need a game. They've got a lot of talent, even if Embiid and Simmons aren't playing, as we've seen. And I just think they're the better team.
I had people telling me last season in the playoffs that the Sixers were not a deep team. And I'm looking at the squad and I'm going, what are you talking about? There is some really good talent on that bench. But anyways, go ahead, son. Who do you have in this game?
I don't know. For me, it kind of depends on Embiid's health. I think Tobias Harris' return does make a difference. And I have been kind of disappointed with Indiana actually over the last couple of years. Right? They have a lot of talent on that team. They should be a lot better. But they just went into Utah and kind of smacked them by 11. Right? So, for me, if Embiid plays, I like Philly. If Embiid is out, I'm going to side with Indiana here.
He's listed as out right now in the health and safety protocols. I don't know when he went out with that. I think the minimum is 10 days. I believe he's vaccinated. Maybe Steven knows that better, but
he's vaccinated, but because he was showing, Doc Rivers said he was showing symptoms, and Tobias Harris was. So because of that, it has to be the 10 days rather than the 2 negative tests.
Yeah, the NBA is they're requesting that all of the players in the NBA actually take a booster because of all the increased cases in the NBA, which I think probably a good idea. I hope they get this stuff under control because it's really a bummer when obviously we have teams that are playing, we don't get the whole team. But let's move on to the Washington Wizards at the Orlando Magic, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Mr. Son, I'll start with you, man. Who do you like here in the Wizards versus the Magic?
I like the Wizards. This was my favorite game actually, when looking at the slate. It opened at Wizards -2 on the road. It got bet up to -4. I mean, Washington's got to be one of the surprise teams on the season. They're 7th in defensive efficiency. Orlando's 25th. Offensively, they're 12th in offensive efficiency. Orlando's only 28th. Orlando's only 1-5 at home. So, yeah, give me Washington all day in this one.
Yeah, what do you think, Trey?
Are either of you two going to pick the Magic? Because I'm not. Washington.
Hey, I made a lot of money.
I'm pretty sure Beal is. I think Beal's going to be out because he's going to a funeral.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if that was. I don't know if they played tonight or if that was for
tomorrow. No, that's for tomorrow.
Is okay. So Beal's going to be out.
Yeah, it does say out personal reasons. You're right.
His grandmother died, but I still like what the Wizards have even without Beal. And the Magic, I think they've got a really good team. I just think they're young. And I think Dinwiddie is one of the most underrated point guards in terms of just being able to put guys in positions to succeed with his playmaking. And I think he'll be able to take advantage of a young Orlando team.
Yeah, the Magic, they kind of surprised me. They actually are a lot better on offense than I would have ever imagined. I think they have like the starting five has the best offensive efficiency rating or something in the NBA. I think that's what I saw, but they've been playing a lot better than people thought in the preseason. I know I'm on their under. I think I actually put a bet on that in this show on under 22.5 wins. I think it was. Let's see. Let me look this up real quick because now I'm gonna really hate myself.
I'm pretty sure I took the over.
Under 22.5, and you took the over. That's what BS. That's a BS call between us two. So I'm actually
Steven, do you think the Magic are going to get me one of those wins tomorrow?
I think they're going to be sneaky. I think it's going to be one of the things. Like, they're a young, scrappy team. They're at home. They're playing against a mediocre team that doesn't have those stars. I don't have any numbers to really back it up that, Orlando's a lock. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying if there's a game for them to steal from a potential playoff team, this is a prime opportunity to do that. And, Jamal mostly has them playing hard every single game. So it really wouldn't surprise me. I believe Wendell Carter Jr. is probable, not question. I saw he was questionable and then he was upgraded. So
he's not even on the report right now.
Okay, then yeah. So he should be good to go. So yeah, I think Orlando could steal one here.
Yeah, it's possible. I actually had them beating the Minnesota Timberwolves, which is where I got my little two-team parlay, and they beat the Timberwolves. So, they're better than people give them credit for. But I still got to go Wizards here.
I'm sorry. Who's really impressed me? Franz Wagner.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
he's awesome, man. I watched him against the Nets the other night. Like, he was locking down KD, causing turnovers, taking the ball. Man, I was very impressed.
Yeah, he's very athletic. I mean, obviously the highlights, he just looks so incredible. The guy on that team that's really surprised me is Cole Anthony. This guy's he's just been on fire this season. He had a kind of a down game last game, but I've got him in a few leagues in fantasy. I'm able to sweep him off the wire. And he's just putting up numbers, man. This guy is he's balling right now. So gotta love him because Greg Anthony is one of my guys, former Bull, obviously. So but yeah, I gotta go Wizards here, man. Even without Bradley Beal, I think they're just surprising me. They're every single game. It's like, okay, the Wizards are just rolling right now. Those pieces. I didn't believe in those pieces. I thought Westbrook really kind of carried them last year when they were struggling, but they've got Dinwiddie, Kuzma, just pieces that are just doing work for them right now, and doesn't look like they're going to stop anytime soon. So I gotta lean Wizards there. Then we got Memphis Grizzlies at the New Orleans Pelicans at 7 p.m. Eastern. Trey, why don't you start us off, man? What do you got there?
I'm not picking the Pelicans for anything.
Why not? Maybe Zion Williamson comes out of the rafters like Sting,
Even if Memphis is still, I don't know what the score is now. I know they were down 30 in the third quarter to the Suns. I don't care how bad they lose to the Suns. I am still picking them over the Pelicans.
Fair. Son, what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, they're just so bad. Memphis, both teams are, bottom 5 in defensive efficiency. So it's just going to be an ugly game, probably, kind of a little fast paced, up and down, but just John Morant, he's just so good. And
did you hear how sad Son sounded when he started that? He sounded like a teacher who was getting ready to tell a parent that their kid was getting held back.
Yeah. Steven, who do you got, man?
Wasn't much there.
I can't go the Pelicans until they win a second game this year. I mean, like,
1-10, I think
they're 1-11 now. Like
1-11. Oh.
That they just lost to the Nets tonight.
No.
They're bad. Like,
yeah.
And I think Brandon Ingram's out tomorrow as well.
Yeah, he's listed as out. Yeah, I was actually looking at that because I was curious. Once he comes back, I think they'll be marginally better. But I actually made some money earlier in the season playing like some unders in their games, unders for the game totals. And it was just a good call because on offense, they're just absolute trash. They had to rely a lot on Brandon Ingram. And then when he went down, it's like and they can't even find Jonas Valanciunas, who's by far probably their best player right now. And they refuse to find him on the offensive side. I don't know what they're doing. I think
they could really use Alonzo Ball to get Valanciunas the long post, huh?
They probably could. No, I think there's going to be some firings in that organization before it's all said and done. I think it's just a sad state of affairs. We'll have to talk to our guy Lyle, who's our Pelicans hoop ball guy at some point, because I know he's religiously following the team, and that just has to be so sad. Okay, let's move on though. Let's go to the Detroit Pistons at the Toronto Raptors, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. This is actually going to be kind of an interesting one. Mr. Steven Bagell, who do you like in this game?
Which game are we talking about? I'm literally pulling up the scoreboard so I could follow along.
Detroit, Toronto.
Pistons at the Raptors.
Ooh. Let's go Toronto. When are we talking about our picks that we gave?
In a minute. We got a couple more games to go, or a couple more games to cover here.
Okay, so I won't spoil anything, but I like Toronto. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, and Toronto at this point is built with a bunch of long guys, and that's like their defensive identity. I don't know how Detroit's going to be able to score on them, especially you don't have Olenek now to stretch the floor. I mean, Cade Cunningham, he's looked better, but he's still struggling. Killian Hayes is probably a bottom 3 or 4 player in the NBA, getting over 20 minutes a game. And again, I'm not out on Killian Hayes yet. He's very young. He's younger than most rookies this year. But again, and Nick Nurse, going back to our coaching rankings, is one of the best coaches in the NBA. I'm going to go Toronto pretty easily here.
All right, son, you agree with that, man? I heard you laughing.
Yeah, I do. Toronto, for some reason, they're 2-5 at home, 5-1 on the road, which is kind of interesting. But Detroit, they're last in offensive efficiency, and that was with Olenek. And so I'm with Steven here. The loss of Olenek is bad for them, big for them, and a lot of young guys on that squad. Toronto, they're 11th in defensive efficiency, so the spread's kind of big though, 8 points. I agree it's going to be low scoring. I may be inclined to take the points here, but I think Toronto wins.
Yeah. What do you think, Trey?
I'm with Son and Steven. I think the Raptors are going to win, and it's going to be a low scoring game. We saw Detroit against the Bulls early in the season, and at the time we just thought the Bulls maybe weren't as good as we thought they were because Detroit got out to runs on them, and they held Chicago to pretty low scores. And I think it's just showing that Detroit is a pretty talented defensive team, especially with Cade in there. And so I like the low scoring aspect. I think the points would probably be wise if you were going to gamble on it. But I think Toronto's going to win comfortably. And I think they'll be up by 10, 12 points, with 2 minutes to go. And then, the Pistons might get a backdoor cover in there.
I don't see Pascal Siakam on their injury report, so I believe he's playing. I think he was just out this last one for rest. Yeah.
Can I interject for 1 second? Because we're talking about Toronto, the last time we were on, I think all you guys took the over on the season win, right? Toronto, and we're high on Scotty Barnes. So I must apologize to you guys. I took the under. I didn't think, I wasn't feeling them. So I mean, you guys were definitely spot on with both Barnes and the over. They're playing very well. They had a nice run of wins there. And, once they get Siakam back into the mix, they're going to be a deadly team. So I think
they'll be a nice middling team. They'll probably end somewhere around, 500, maybe a little over. I don't know. But no, I like their identity. Like Steven was talking about, man, they got a lot of long athletic guys. Their defense is just impressive. It's actually one of my favorite teams besides the Heat. Obviously I'm a big defensive guy. I'm so happy my Bulls play defense this year, but I like watching the Heat. I like watching the Raptors. Those are two of my favorite teams to watch this year, just because that defense is so impressive. So I think the under on those points is really, really appealing to me, but it's so low, but we'll talk about that in a minute, I think. But hey, let's move on to the next one. It's Boston Celtics at the Cleveland Cavaliers at 8 p.m. Eastern time. This one's actually really, really fun. I'm going to go to you, Trey, since you're the Boston guy, kind of. You know Boston guys.
I know Boston.
Who do you like?
Yeah.
Who do you like?
I like the Cavs. I know they're not the favorites, but I love what Evan Mobley has been able to do. I think he's going to be Rookie of the Year. I love the size. I don't know that the Celtics have a lot of size to contend with that. And Boston isn't a team that gets a lot of passes. They're a lot of ISO heavy, especially with Tatum. And I think that kind of plays into what Cleveland likes to do. If you're making them have to rotate and recover it and everything, we've seen the Lauri Markkanen show. That's not his game. And I like the matchup for Cleveland, and I think they're going to win outright. I think they're 2.5 point underdogs, but I think they just get the W, especially with Boston playing an overtime game tonight against Milwaukee.
Fair. What do you think, Son?
Yeah, I actually like Cleveland here too. They're playing very good defense. They're 13th in defensive efficiency. Their big guys can switch, right? And so both Allen and Mobley, so that's huge. They both protect the rim very well. Boston, without Jaylen Brown, they're 23rd in offensive efficiency. Cleveland's 5-3 at home. Boston's only 4-3 on the road. So, I like the home dogs in this one. Bow, wow, wow, yippee, yo, yippee.
Nice. What do you think, Steven?
Cleveland is 8-5. I'm still not buying it. I mean, every year there's I don't know if the three big man. Watkins out right now. It is long term because.
I think
you're kind of going in and out.
Yep, I think Steven's breaking up there.
Then all of a sudden they're going to be faster.
Oh, must have not a great connection, but that's okay, man. Technical difficulties.
I did look up that right now Evan Mobley leads the league in contested shots at 14.8 a game, and Jarrett Allen is it looks like tied for 10th at 11. So he's right that the size it's unusual for teams, but I think with the way the league plays, it's just, especially with this, they play zone enough, they mix it in. I like what Bickerstaff does. That was one of the things that me and Steven went back and forth on the coaching podcast. I had Bickerstaff a little higher than him just because I believed in this kind of lineup.
Yeah, I can't. I want to.
There's Steven's beautiful face moving again. I think he's back.
Yeah, I think he's back.
I'm back.
No, we heard
to see me.
Yeah, we heard enough of that. It's okay. We got it, man. No, I like actually. I do like Boston a little bit more in this one, but at the same time, I can't really BS you guys. I think Cleveland's been really, really impressive this year. They keep surprising me, so I'm not going to actually place any kind of bets on it. But I do lean Boston in this one. I don't know if they're going to cover that spread. Was it 2.5 points or something like that? Like you said, Trey. So not sure. I mean, that's pretty small to spread. So I guess if they're going to win, they probably will. But yeah, I think I actually lean Celtics here. It's 2.5 points. It started at 3.5 points. So I wouldn't mind it, but I'm not going to actually place a bet on it. And then the last one here, we got the Minnesota Timberwolves at the Los Angeles Clippers at 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. Mr. Steven, you're back here. Let's let you get a little info in here. Who you like in this one? The Timberwolves at the Clippers.
I'm going to take the Clippers. Oh, because I mean, I'm not touching Minnesota right now. They just lost 6 in a row. They're playing on a back-to-back. Karl Anthony Towns clearly isn't happy. He's liking tweets saying that free cat, whatever, and then tweeting, "Oh, sorry, somebody hacked my account, liked one tweet, and then logged off. So I changed my password now, guys. We're all good." I mean, clearly he's not happy. So I'm gonna go with the Clippers. Paul George has been playing great. I'm very high on Terrence Mann. I believe last time I was on this podcast, I actually said I like Terrence Mann for most improved player. Oh, yeah. So.
Yep. Fair enough, man. Son, who you like?
Yeah, I'm with the Clippers here too. Kind of going back to our prior conversation about, guys fight or flight, things like that. When Jimmy Butler was in Minnesota, he was a straight alpha dog, right? And cat, I mean, he's a cat, right? Like he's just meow, meow, meow. Like, so his personality is kind of like towards that. I don't know if he's a true like alpha dog. But from a team perspective, like Minnesota, I mean, offensive efficiency wise, I mean, they're 25th. I mean, granted, D'Lo has been out for a lot of that, but they're just not a really good offensive team. 1-2 on the road. The Clippers, they're second in defensive efficiency. Paul George is playing, magnificently. They're at home, so yeah, I'm a Steven. I can't touch the Timberwolves here right now.
Fair enough. Okay, Trey, you and me are the Timberwolves guys here. Who do you got?
Son brought the stats. I'm going to bring the Timberwolves play the Lakers tonight, and then the young team gets to spend the night in LA, and then they have to play the Clippers the next night.
Make it rain.
Right. So I like the Clippers here. They get to rest. Timberwolves have to play tonight against the Lakers team that they're not easy to play against. Like Westbrook, as bad as his turnovers are, you're going to be exhausted after playing against him. You're going to be exhausted after trying to defend Anthony Davis. And the Clippers like to run. They're small. They shoot threes. They've been playing excellent. I like the Clippers here as much love as I have for the Timberwolves in my heart.
I have to go with you on that one, man. And that's a good point with LA. That's one of the things that we have to kind of look at as, Capper has been instead of, that's not something that Vegas is going to bake into the odds necessarily, but they can enjoy some of LA nightlife, obviously, and have a good time, a young team like that. So I like it, man. I like it a lot. And actually that kind of leads us into the next segment. Before I get there, join the 2 million men guys worldwide who trust Manscaped to keep their front and back court polished all year long. Trim with their new Lawnmower 4.0, which is included in the Performance 4.0 package. And watch the hair fade away. This 4th-generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to advanced skin-safe technology. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code HoopBall20 at manscaped.com. And don't stumble over your words like me. But no, that brings us into our next segment here.
Hold on just a second, Keith. I know that we're excited to get to our picks, but I'd hate to ignore the audience, and we have a quick question.
So
I threw this up real quick. I'm not a fantasy expert, so I'll leave it to you guys. But I didn't want our guests.
I'm gonna let Mr. Stan's son. This is my guy I go to for all things fantasy. So, what do you think, man? Who finishes higher? Garland or Ingram?
Probably Ingram. I think Garland. Maybe he'll be like. They'll both be top 100, obviously. Garland maybe top 80, top 90 player. I think Ingram. I don't know. Depending on injury, how he comes back. I don't know, maybe he'll be top 50.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe higher. Like he has more potential, but yeah, I think Ingram by a wide margin, actually.
Yeah, I definitely think Ingram's the top here. So if you're asking for a trade, go do that trade right now. If that's a trade that's on the table here, I'm trying to see where Ingram ended up last year because I think it'll probably be similar, if not even.
He was
higher.
45.
51.
Yeah, he was 45.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've got 51 here on Basketball Monster, but that's per game. I bet totals he was higher. Yeah.
I see I'm on Basketball Monster too. I see 45 on a per game basis. Yeah. I don't
Weird.
know.
Interesting.
What do you see 51? No.
I'll have to share this with you afterwards. No, it's all good. So anyways, he's going to be a top 40 to 50 player is what we're saying. So 50 probably is a good guess, I think. So, but yeah, I like it. Definitely go get Ingram if that's a trade on the table there. So yeah, let's go to our BSBP locks, guys, for tomorrow's games. We've been talking about these games forever. So let's get this going here. I do like the Clippers -6.5 over the Timberwolves, and I didn't even think about that LA lean that Mr. Trey brought up, the partying all night. But this is widely available, guys. I can snag it on Bet Online right now. The Clippers just beat the T-Wolves by 11-20 on the road, and they get the Wolves here at home. While they're playing pretty good basketball, the Clippers have won 6 in a row. And what I like best about the way they are winning is that they're winning with some stellar defense. That defense is going to give the Wolves problems, I think, and the reemergence of Nick Batum has been huge for that side of the ball for the Clippers in particular. I love Nick Batum, man. He's just been playing really awesome basketball and been nailing down threes also. So, it's just good stuff here. I've got one more here for you guys. I'm going to go with a money line parlay. I'm actually riding my guy Trey's coattails here because he always puts these money line parlays together. I'm going to go Memphis Grizzlies money line, Washington Wizards money line, Clippers money line. So Grizzlies need a win and are getting served up the Pelicans on a silver platter. We've been talking about the Pelicans are just bad. So I think that they're going to open as favorites here. I don't think we have lines for that just yet. We don't. So I don't know what the point spread is there, but I'm pretty confident they're going to win that. And then I've got the Wizards, and we've already talked about that a little bit. Even though Beal's out, that still doesn't really deaden things for me. I think they're still going to win here. Open as 2-point favorites. It slid to 4-point favorites. Obviously, the bettors out there agree with me and agree with Mr. Son over there. Magic here, they've been rocking on offense, but the Wizards just got to be favorites here. So Clippers, they're playing the best basketball, as I mentioned before. Just like it here for them to keep their foot on the gas against the T-Wolves. So I'm going with the Memphis, Washington, Clippers moneyline parlay. Not sure what the odds are there just yet. Got to wait for those to open here for my books here, but we'll see how that goes. Hopefully, it's some good plus money. So I will let Mr. Son. Why don't you start us off here?
Yeah, I like the Wizards. I'll take. I mean, I wish I could get it at 2, but I'll still take it at 4. I'm curious. So you guys are probably the more betting experts. So I'm curious on the T-Wolves Clippers line. The total's gone down 1 point and the spread's been bet down 1. How do you guys interpret that?
I don't know if I can necessarily link those together. I don't know if there's like a direct link between those two. I just think that people are pounding, they're pounding the T-Wolves to cover for some reason, and they're pounding the under on the points total, but I don't know if they're necessarily connected, if that helps, or if it doesn't help. I don't know.
I mean, unders have been coming through, I feel like, more often than not with the way things have been playing.
Yeah, there's been a trend with people. There's been a lot of bettors that go out there and just kind of smash all the unders in every game because the scoring's been down across the league because of the new rules, obviously. So you can actually play defense now, which is fantastic for basketball, in my opinion. But anyways, I digress. So everyone just kind of pounds the unders as soon as they open. So I don't really take a lot of stock in that, to be honest.
Okay, I got you.
Is that the only one you got for us? Is the Washington play, or did you have another one?
I'll take the Cavs money line as well. So yeah, those are the 2 for me.
Okay.
I don't know what the odds. Do you see the odds?
No, for the money line, no. I don't think I have those yet, but we're gonna pencil you in for that. I like it.
Yeah.
All right, Steven, what do you got for us, man?
Okay, so I have, and it's ironic. I have 2 games. Both of them I'm taking the under on. And it's ironic because I'm not an over and unders bettor typically. But I was looking at the Orlando and Washington game with it's now 203.5. Orlando, sorry, I'm just pulling up now the points per game. Orlando is bottom in the league just about 99.7 points a game, which is the 3rd worst in the NBA. And then Washington's middle of the pack, but again, they're playing without Bradley Beal. Mm-hmm. So obviously neither of these teams are defensive juggernauts, but given both of them, the Wizards without Beal and then the Magic as a team struggle offensively, I went with the under for that one. And then the other one I took was the Pistons and Raptors under 201.5. And again, this is the territory where 201.5 is a low over and under. Yeah. And I recognize that when I'm
but no, it could. Yeah, it's very easily. I think they went way under. I think they've met it before. Maybe they haven't. But anyways, go ahead. Continue. I'm sorry.
But yeah, Detroit's by far the least team in the league in scoring. They're 94.9 points a game. The next is OKC at 99.6. So Detroit is 5 points less than any other team in the league. So
and
they really cannot score. What'd you say?
They only scored 78 points tonight.
Yeah.
And Toronto, they're against that Toronto lengthy defense I talked about. And Toronto themselves have issues scoring the ball. I'm looking here, and they're a bottom 10 team in the league offensively. Yep. So I just think both those add up. I'm taking this with the caveat that I know both 203.5 and 201.5 are very low unders, very low over unders. But again, they're tailored to the teams.
Yeah, no, I do like that. I do like that Toronto-Detroit call. I might have to tail that. And Detroit is dead last in effective field goal percentage. They're just bad. Toronto, like you said, they've had their offensive struggles. So we'll see how that goes. I do think Pascal Siakam's back, so that does give me a little bit of a pause. So we'll see how that goes. But anyways, Trey, what do you got, man?
I also had your 3-team parlay with Memphis, Washington.
Riding my coattails again. We're going to lose again because of this. We lose every time we do this. What are we
doing? But I couldn't help. I have that parlay, and then I had one other parlay. I've got the Toronto money line versus Detroit, and then I'm going to put the Cleveland money line versus Boston. I don't have the odds for that yet, But with Cleveland being the underdog, it's definitely going to be plus odds. I would expect it to be probably around plus 200. So I'm happy to take that. I think Toronto's almost a lock at this point for me. And Cleveland's there because I believe in them and I want to boost the odds.
I like it, man. So that's our BSBP locks. We each had, I think, 2 of them. So that gives you 8 locks, guys. Hopefully we go 8-0 here for you. But hey, guys, if you're liking our calls, you can go access them all season long. Right now, the Hoopball 360 subscription is just $19.99 a month, which is an absolute steal. The Hoopball 360 Pass is the ultimate Hoopball experience for the fan that wants to win everything. And yes, I mean everything, guys. Hoopball 360 includes Fantasy Pass, Wager Pass, DFS Pass, all your passes. Visit hoop-ball.com to get started and get winning. That's going to do it for us, though, guys. That's our second ever live show. Thanks again, Mr. Stan Sun, for coming in, man. I hope you had fun. Hopefully we can have you on again, man.
Yeah, man, it's always a pleasure. I'm always honored to be, chatting hoops with you guys. Just one thing, like since I went undefeated last time, I'm probably gonna go defeated this time. So anyone that's listening, you should probably Costanza Son, and then you'll make the money.
Just fade my guy's son over here. All right, Steven, man, thanks to you for coming on. Also, appreciate you, man, and like I said, hopefully I can come on your podcast and you can come on ours again as well.
The reason he was so nice to Son just now about coming on and he just had you as an afterthought, Steven, is because he's still jealous that I was the first guest.
You have the agenda in front of me. You have it here. I've got to pause for Mr. Son to say something. And come on, man, come on. No, go ahead, Steven. Man, I'm glad to have you on. I didn't mean to put you second.
You're fine. No offense taken. Keith, as I said, next guest I plan on having will definitely be you. You and I will work out kinks to figure out what topic, whether we want to talk Bulls or something else. We'll figure that out. But again, thanks for having me on. My experience with the Hoopball Network has been great thus far, so I'm happy to be here, and I appreciate you guys.
You don't have to put the Bulls on the agenda for Keith when he comes.
No, you do.
They will be on there.
Look at me. I've got Bulls. Come on, man. No, man, we're glad to have you also. And yeah, it's a good group of people over there at Hoopball, and been having a lot of fun. So everyone out there, if you're watching, liking everything, go like, subscribe, all things Hoopball, but especially our show, which is Bold Statements, Not So Bold Predictions. You can find us on Twitter at BSBP_NBA. At BSBP_NBA. I'm Keith Cork. You can find me at BSBP Keith on Twitter. Trey, where can the people find you?
At Finally.
Steven, where can the folks find you?
You can find me on Twitter at BirdRightsPod, which is obviously my new Hoopball podcast, or you can find me on my independent podcast, _NBAGEL. That's NBAGELL.
Perfect. And Son, where can the good people find you?
At Stan_Son.
Fantastic, man. That's going to do it for us, guys. Let's go out there and crush it. Go Bulls!
All right. Later, guys.
Later, guys.